everyone. So today I want to talk to you about the first pillar of the Alkaline Method, which is anchor. Being anchored means having a firm basis or foundation. In the context of the Alkaline Method, it requires detachment from who you think you are, or the ego. It means to let go and be anchored right where you are, here and now. Don't change who you are, but be who you are. In the practice of yoga, there's asanas. Asanas are the physical practice of yoga where you connect breath with movement in order to connect the mind to the body. Practice of asanas are used to release our physical form, our bodies, to ready the soul to take a seat in the body. The physical body is where we start in our Alkaline Method yoga because it's where we can make the most conscious change. We start with the body because it's easier to alter the physical motion than it is to alter the mind. In the practice of the Alkaline Method, we encourage you to find the courage to be exactly where you are and be with who you really are. Being anchored in the yoga practice means knowing exactly where your base of support is. For example, if you're in a downward dog, your base of support is both hands and your feet. Your weight should be evenly distributed between these 4 points of contact. In order to be anchored properly, we need all the other pillars in the Alkaline Method, but this is where we start. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the bodies of yoga. There are 3 bodies in the practice of yoga. First body is the physical body. The physical body is what's needed to function in the physical world where we are awake. It's the form that we take. The second body is called the subtle body or the astral body. The subtle body is interconnected with the physical body. It's our energy body. The breath and the mental, emotional, and intellectual energies reside in this body. The third body is our causal body. The causal body is our core. It's also called the seed body. This is the spiritual body where you are infinitely connected to everything else. Think of a seed that took root and became a tree. The roots are connected to the soil underneath, which is the earth that is also connected to everything else. These bodies are something we get called to explore at different phases of our lives. Many people get called to explore themselves through the practice of yoga. Yoga starts in the physical body, but in due time, as you connect the breath to the body in the subtle channels, you recognize any dormant emotions that have caused upheavals throughout your life. As you look through this, you can continue on your path to enlightenment. This practice isn't religious. With whatever religious beliefs you have, you can enhance the experience by tapping into yourself in this way to amplify your spiritual paths in Christianity, Hindu, Buddhism, whatever your belief systems may be. At the end of the day, religion is simply the exploration of seeking higher truths. Judgments towards other religions can only separate us from the truth. So now let's talk a little bit about becoming anchored in the subtle body. Detachment from our ego means letting go of who you think you are and exploring who you really are. Typically, we think about being anchored to the earth or the floor with the pull of gravity. But being anchored mentally, emotionally, and intelligently means being connected with yourself enough to be aligned with the core of who you are as you find polarity in your being, learning to breathe through the self-exploration and finding balance and equanimity in all areas of your life. Attachment to our ego is what keeps us living lives void of higher meaning. When we're living from form as our ego, we separate ourselves from the whole. This creates unnecessary suffering and striving as we constantly seek something that will never satisfy our core cravings to be connected. We need to detach from our formed identity, which we refer to as the ego. The ego is the psychological component of the personality that is represented by our conscious decision-making process. Ego really means self. When we have inflated egos, our self-importance or self-worth is emphasized. And when we have deflated egos, it means self-importance or self-worth is lessened. Neither is good, obviously. And because we're social beings, we're wired for connection. From an early age, our self-value is influenced by the opinions of others, mostly our caregivers and teachers. Because there's so much psychological misrepresentation, many of us are misled into thinking that in order to fit in, we must be a certain way. Add traumatic experiences to that, we have so many repressed emotions that are left dormant until they are triggered. Remember, our emotions are held in our subtle body, which can affect our physical body. Many people experience symptoms and/or disease in their physical body if this is left unexplored. Now let's talk about becoming anchored in the causal body. Many of us have religious backgrounds, but some may have non-religious backgrounds. All wars were due to judgments against religions, and this alone signifies our human existence in history. We must realize that religious beliefs do not separate us, but they leave room for understanding our differences. The spiritual path is one that requires so much work on our layers of our bodies. We can't just focus on one body, as we need the physical form to exist in this world, the subtle form to create, and the causal form to find our way home. That home may look different for us with different religious backgrounds, but how about if we explore our spiritual path without so much attention on being right or wrong? Enlightenment provides infinite understanding that we are all connected, sharing an experience in this space and time. Once we recognize this, we can be united in compassion and love versus separation and hatred. This is the path, the healing path back home. Each one of us is on our own self-healing journey, whatever that may look like. The practice of yoga brings you back to this truth. When you're in a state of balance or imbalance, it will manifest in your physical body. So next week, I'll explain the second pillar of our Alkaline Method, alignment. I hope you're on this path with us and we're all just sharing our experiences together for the ultimate healing to take place. If this message resonated with you, please subscribe to our newsletter on alkalinewellness.com, our YouTube channel, Dr. Connie Jian, and our podcast, Mind Your Health, on iTunes. Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Alkaline Wellness. Thank you, everyone, and talk to you guys next week.